What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live with me, your host and international award-winning speaker, Jeff Marconette Jr. Now, guys, guess what? Well, what do I always say? I am pumped up because tonight's guest is amazing. She's going to talk about a little about her situation that she thought she had the perfect life and then she found out differently. But I ask you if you would please share this episode out. Make sure you like it. Don't forget to subscribe and give us all kinds of comments because we want to have a conversation and not just make a presentation. So I want to help out you guys in some way. So thank you, somebody, for the like. I appreciate that. And with no further ado, I would like to bring to the stage Mia. Hey, Mia, how are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. I'm so honored to have you on here tonight.
Thank
And
you.
I think it will be eye-opening to some people.
I hope so, yes.
Yeah. So if you would like to take it away and go ahead and introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do, that would be grand.
Okay, great. So I'm Mia Hanks, and basically I'm from Texas, and I am a survivor of narcissistic abuse. I was married to a covert narcissist for just under 30 years, and I've recently published a memoir about my experiences, and my book is called Bridemaid.
Wow. That's wow. So, first of all, for dumb people, especially myself, what exactly is a narcissist?
So a narcissist is kind of an overused term. We all basically, as humans, have some narcissistic traits, but an actual narcissist or someone with narcissistic personality disorder is basically a person who has little to no empathy. The world sort of revolves around them. Everything has to be about them, for them. They will use people to their own gain, and it's a lot of they can be very abusive. They tend to gaslight, and they demand total control all the time. My ex-husband is a covert narcissist, meaning that he, to the outside world, looks very humble and kind and wonderful, but behind closed doors is actually controlling and manipulating.
Wow, that's crazy. So, all right, hold on here. I'm kind of hot. It's like 84 degrees here in Ohio. It's humid, and I I'm sweating my butt off because my AC isn't keeping up in the moment, and that's not a good thing.
That's not good.
But so I happen to know that life seems to put things in the way. And by that, I'm saying that when I was 17 years old, I was in a severe car accident. It left me in a coma 2.5 months and in the hospital for 3.5 months. I wasn't supposed to be walking right now, but with almost 23 years of physical therapy, I am walking. I am
Amazing.
living my best life, and I am trying to inspire other people to do that too.
Yes.
And I think this show is a great way for people to get their stories out there. So I'm wondering, has life ever put things in your way that tried to stop you from living your best life?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I was in such a controlling and manipulating marriage for so long that I really lost sense of who I was. I really didn't know who I was because I was so focused on my now ex-husband, not triggering him and trying to keep him, um, happy to the point that it wouldn't ruin my life. And so, yeah, I just lost all sense of my own identity and who I was. And so it was a long journey to get myself out of that. I was in a situation where I was more or less gaslighting myself and making myself think the problem was me when in fact it was him. So that kind of kept me in that marriage for way, way too long. But eventually I did find my way out, and I can definitely say that there is a better life on the other side of an abusive relationship.
So, what was being in an abusive relationship like? I mean, a lot of people can't relate to that because a lot of people haven't been in that situation. So, can you tell us what exactly that made you feel like and how it was? I mean,
Yeah, it's a lot of people, when they think of an abusive marriage, they think of physical abuse. And in my case, it was mental, psychological abuse. So it was just everything was controlled. I was made to basically feel like I could not manage without my husband. Um, I spent years basically walking on eggshells, kind of in a fight or flight mode all the time, on the brink of an anxiety attack most days.
wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it really does wear on you physically, because of the stress that you're under. So it was, my life just wasn't mine. And I didn't have a lot of freedom. And so, yeah, it will definitely affect not just mentally, but it will affect you physically too.
How does it affect you physically?
I dealt with a lot of chronic pain, a lot of issues with just feeling nauseous all the time, anxious, heart palpitations, panic attacks. And it was interesting
Ooh.
that when I found my way out of this mess that I was in, it was amazing how quickly those physical ailments disappeared when I got myself out from under all of that stress that I was living under. Stress does crazy things to your body.
Yeah, that's so true. I think stress is one of the most harmful things that a person can do to the body. And when your stress is caused by somebody else, why couldn't you just leave that? I mean,
Yeah, that's actually probably the question that I get asked the most. And I think a lot of people in my situation, that is the number one question. Why do you stay? And it's kind of a complicated answer. Narcissistic abuse starts very slow. And you don't really realize what's happening to you. It's so insidious. And it's such a slow moving process that by the time you realize or start to think, maybe this is abusive. I mean, for myself, I didn't know if I was being abused or not. Um, and so, because you learn to kind of blame yourself and internalize everything. So that's the main reason that people end up staying for so long. When they finally realize what's going on, they're so enmeshed in this relationship, and maybe they have kids, and getting out is just both scary, and you learn to doubt yourself and second guess yourself. And then you just don't, you feel stuck, you really do. And there's oftentimes financial abuse that goes along with it. In most narcissistic marriages, the narcissist is controlling all the money, so that you just don't have the funds to leave, even if you could get up the courage to do it. So there are a lot of layers as to why people tend to stay in these relationships for way, way too long.
and do a lot of people, I guess, blame you for your own situation?
Um, yeah, I mean, that's one of the components with leaving, when you're with a covert narcissist, because everybody outside of
I
your home
see.
thinks they're a great person. So you kind of, when you decide to leave, you sort of have to assume that most people are not going to believe you. And so it can be hard to garner that support that you need. Fortunately, I had the support of my family. Some people don't have that. So it is pretty tricky because trying to convince the outside world that this person is actually abusive behind closed doors when there's no physical proof can be a challenge. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, what would you say to the people that didn't believe you? They were just like, "Hey, we see this guy. We see the way he acts. He acts just awesome. I mean, he looks like he's the best husband in the world." What would you say to those people that doubted you?
Um, I mean, honestly, to those people, I don't say anything.
Hmm.
I think that, and that is kind of why why I wrote my book and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I really want to raise awareness about this. I think there are a lot of people out there that don't realize what's happening behind closed doors a lot of times. And I think that people need to be more educated about narcissists and about how damaging they can be and how abusive they can be. Yeah, I think a lot of people are just in the dark about it. And we need to be talking about this a lot more and kind of giving a voice to these victims who feel like they're stuck and they can't get out because no one believes them.
All right. Now, I know you have a book out there, and is there any other way that you are trying to give the victims a voice?
I have my book, and then I also recently got a website up and running, and I'm going to eventually have a blog on that website. It's still in the works, but it's miajhanks.com. And
MiaJHanks.com. All right.
yes, and then I also have a TikTok account where I post every day, and there's some really good info on there, just spreading awareness about narcissism, what it is, what to look for, how to safely leave a narcissist, because it's not, that easy to just walk out the door. You have to really take some safety precautions. So there's a lot of good content on that TikTok, and it is you can find that at NPD, which stands for Narcissistic Personality Disorder, NPD and me. And like I say, I'm pretty active on there. I'm posting usually 2 or 3 times a day, and it's all just content related to narcissists and narcissistic abuse.
That's interesting. So I have to say I don't really know much about narcissism, and it's kind of interesting to me because nobody teaches you about narcissists, and
They
it's
don't. You're right. And you so if you don't have the knowledge and the education about it, you don't know what to watch out for. And so you will, like myself, I ignored all the red flags because no one told me, hey, watch out for this kind of person. I just didn't think these kind of people existed. So, and it's just a lack of information out there, really.
well, so let's say, well, everybody in the world is going through something. It might not be the same as what you and I have dealt with. Well, our situations are rather different, but so their situations might not be the same as ours. And you see, I'm having a tough time, like, figuring out how we can just reach the masses
Hmm.
and try to help people out, because we don't know what each person is going through. So, do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, obviously for victims who are in abusive situations, but even more far-reaching than that, I think people tend to be in these tough situations and they kind of get complacent and they feel like they're stuck and there's just no hope. And my message to whether you're in an abusive marriage or whatever your situation is, you're not stuck. As daunting as it might feel to ever find hope on the other side of that situation, there is hope, and you are not stuck, and there are resources for you. You just have to reach out and basically gather the courage up to tell somebody that you need help.
All right. So that leads me to a perfect question. So, what are some of those resources, and how can people get a hold of those resources?
I think the best resource, the easiest resource at your fingertips is the internet. If you
Yeah.
think that you are, say, in an abusive relationship, start advocating for yourself and doing some research on your own. Do some reading, see what you can find out there. Another good resource is to always look for a good therapist or a counselor or somebody that you can talk to. Therapists aren't free, and if that's not in your budget, find a friend. You only need one person that you can really talk to, and that can really move mountains.
So, talking to one person can really move mountains. Does that person have to be medically licensed?
I don't think so. I mean, in my situation, I did seek out therapy, and I had a therapist that was very useful. But just being able to talk to, have a couple of friends, a couple of family members, it really is validating to be able to talk to people that support you, and that believe you and that are in your corner. So I think that for me, it was as therapeutic talking to friends and family as it was getting advice from my therapist.
All right. So, hmm, I'm trying to come up with a question here that highlights the title. Now, the title of this episode was "Have you ever had something that seemed perfect?" Now, I would guess that your relationship with your ex seemed perfect. Am I correct in
You are
assuming?
correct. Yes, you are correct. To the outside world, to all of our mutual friends, we looked like the perfect couple. We looked like we were living the most perfect life, financially successful, beautiful home. We had it all. And it's amazing how, you might look at somebody and think, wow, they are on top of the world, but you don't always know what's going on, behind closed doors. And that is true. It is sort of a facade, and everybody did believe us to be the perfect family.
So, what was it like to? I take it your marriage was good at one time. Am I correct in saying that?
Not really.
No.
Not really. I mean, I didn't. It was bad before I realized it was bad. I thought that, I thought it was normal to a degree. I knew it didn't look like any marriages that I had seen, but I thought, for what it's worth, it's okay, and I'm going to make it work. Um, I had to grow up a lot to realize that, it's not okay to be talked to like I was talked to and treated like I was treated. But like I say, it started so slow that you just sort of evolve with it. So no, I mean, I wouldn't say it was ever good, sadly.
That's too bad. Now, I want to say hello to my dad. I want to say hi to Jody, to Elizabeth, who is Miss McLean from my junior high days. And then we have Nora Gray in the house. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please, if you could, in the comments, answer this question. Have you ever had something that seemed perfect? And then, did it turn out to be perfect? Or did it turn out to be a nightmare? So, I think that is a very interesting the way your life can be perfect and it look perfect to other people,
Yeah,
but
definitely. It's and then, that makes it harder to get untangle yourself from that relationship as well, because when everybody thinks you have the perfect life, there's also an embarrassment factor that comes into play, that it's embarrassing to have to admit that no, actually it's not perfect. It's actually very flawed.
wow, that's profound. That you have to do what you have to do, that embarrassment some, and you have to actually go out on a limb there to tell people that hey, something's wrong here. And to them it doesn't seem like there's anything wrong. So that seems extremely difficult for me to just relate. I mean, I've never had this situation and it would be tough. But I need to point out that Nora Gray said in the comments here that perfect is hard to achieve, I think. Now, perfection is hard to achieve. I agree with that. And you shouldn't strive for perfection. You should strive for just the progress towards perfection. But I'm not. I mean, it seemed perfect. The whole situation. Yeah. So, have you ever had a situation that seemed like it was perfect and then it turned out not to be? That's what I'm asking you guys. But I do appreciate your comment, Nora. Thank you so much. I also need to say hello to Kinston, my friend from Columbus, and my Africa buddy that we went to Africa together. It was cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I have one other question.
Okay.
But, well, actually, I have a couple. But so my whole movement is called Make Every Second Count. Now, I've never actually met you, and you probably don't know a lot about my movement. Now, well, what exactly does Make Every Second Count mean to you, just off the top of your head?
I think it means basically living life to its fullest, and not worrying about, you may have had a bad, parts of your life may have been bad, but it's never too late to find a new life, to start afresh, and it's never too late to make every second count, and to try to live your best life.
Perfect answer. Thank you so much. I appreciate your opinion. Now, I think that is a very wise opinion, so thank you.
Sure.
But so the other question that I have is, was it difficult when you left the situation? I mean, was it difficult to get started once again?
Yeah, definitely. It was difficult, and it was a little overwhelming, because suddenly, it was like one day I woke up and I could make all my own decisions. Overnight it was like, wow, I got my life back. So I kind of didn't know what to do, honestly. I had never had that much freedom. So difficult, yes, but at the same time exciting. Realizing that I can choose for myself how I'm going to spend my day. And so difficult, exciting, overwhelming, just the whole gamut of emotions.
You know, I believe that, like, all those emotions that people have are kind of the same emotions. and we just perceive them differently. You see, like, all right, let's. There are athletes. They they aren't. They say they don't get nervous before an event. They only get excited about that event. But you see, to somebody else, that is nerves, that
Yes.
excitement for them. So it's all a perception. It's so weird the way these things work. And I'm just baffled by all these. But the other question that I have, all right, you have a great night, Nora, and it's so nice for you to jump on here. But so you were talking a little bit about a book. Now, how can people get a hold of this book if they want to? And what are they going to gain from this book?
So you can find my book anywhere online books are sold on Amazon, Target, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, and
Wow.
it's available in ebook format and paperback. And what I'm hoping people gain from it is just learning more about narcissism and being able to. It'll help people to see if if they suspect they're in an narcissistic, abusive relationship. I'm hoping that it will help them see that and just sort of give them some validation and make them realize that they're not alone in their struggle. And I try to include a lot of little checklists in there about how to safely leave and red flags to look out for and just a lot of tips for people. So I hope that it lands on the right hands and that people who really need to find it can find it.
Well, I'm sure people that really need to find it will find it. And I need to say, another thing is I am proud of you.
Oh,
I'm
thank
proud
you.
of you for stepping out on that ledge and becoming an advocate for the people that might not have a voice, for the people that might not realize they're in a situation that they're in. And it's just really cool that you would do such a thing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy evening to be here with me and my viewers. And
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that somebody is going to be able to gain something from this.
I hope so.
But I have to say that we're unfortunately out of time.
All right.
And but I need everybody out there, including you, Mia, to do me a favor this week, next week, and for the rest of your life. I need you to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when those seconds are going to run out on your one life. Guys, I'll see you back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, have a fantastic week. See you guys later. Thank you again, Mia.
Thank you.